Salute. What's happening, man? This is Boxing Nocturnal Thoughts. I want to talk about Teofimo Lopez versus Sandor Martin, man. I got an opportunity to really watch that fight with no distractions. And honestly, I scored that fight for Martin. But it was a good fight. I feel like Teofimo Lopez was being kind of predictable, trying to set up the same shot. I was trying the whole time I was watching Teofimo Lopez, I was trying to see what punch that he was trying to deploy. It almost just looked like he didn't have the right punch in his arsenal to change the trajectory of that fight. Like the angle, that southpaw style, and him not being a front foot dominant fighter, Martin not being a front foot dominant fighter, where he was able to pivot off, and then check hook him, just was causing him problems. And I felt like Teo didn't have the weaponry in his arsenal to break down that shield, to break him down and hit him in his, like he had a straight shot, southpaw killer is that straight right. And I seen it sometimes Teofimo Lopez would deploy it, try to get in a good couple of body shots straight down to the solar plex and things like that. And he had some success with it. But for the most part, Martin just was able to pivot and on his back foot had the movement to avoid any serious damage. And Teofimo Lopez's power didn't seem to really bother him as the fight went on. You know what I'm saying? Like once he built up an endurance to that power and Teofimo Lopez lost a little bit of his explosiveness and his impact, had less and less impact on, it just looked like to me, Martin got more and more comfortable in the rhythm of the fight. He would just, use his jab and pivot off and then check hook off and then reset Teo. And he just kind of did that in a comfortable way the whole fight. And Teo he never did anything to make his opponent change his approach. And, usually we always discredit Teofimo Sr. for not giving good advice in the corner. And to me, when I could hear what he was telling him, would have changed the game, where he was like, you can't catch this guy like this. You're going to either have to shift or you're going to have to double up and triple up on your jab. And I think if Teo would have done those things, he would have had more success, because even though this is a type of fighter, you're not going to be able to get an impressive knockout, break him down and knock him out. After a while, it just looked like Teofimo Lopez didn't have what it took to break him down and knock him out. But Teofimo Lopez, if he would have been thinking like, okay, I can't break him down and beat him down, I'm going to have to just style on him. I'm going to have to finesse him. I'm going to have to box him, pop shot him, and just work my jab. And then when he tries to pivot out, I'm going to hook off of him. And then I'm going to, turn him into the bull and I'm the matador. Kind of similar to like, even though Pitbull Cruz is a forward fighter, come forward fighter. When Tank realized I can't knock this dude out, he just started to put on a performance in the opposite direction, change the trajectory. So I felt like Teofimo Lopez at some point in time in this fight, I couldn't see what kind of punch. I seen the kind of punch he would have to land to do some damage. It would have been a hard punch. It would have been a weird angle, almost a punch I've seen Canelo kind of deploy with his uppercuts. But he would have had to have a real vicious uppercut on the inside, where he would have had to come and uppercut him with his left. You know what I'm saying? That same punch he was trying to, if he would have worked his jab and tricked him with some feints on the jab and got him thinking, if I'm jabbing to the body, jabbing to the shoulder, or jabbing to the head, and then been able to do like a Gervonta Tank Davis, Leo Santa Cruz type of up and under and twerk his body up and under and get an uppercut right underneath that jab that Martin was throwing. As soon as Martin throws his jab, if he would have been able to swoop up under it and throw this kind of an uppercut and then follow it up, he might have been able to do some damage. But Teofimo Lopez wasn't jabbing a lot. When he was jabbing, he was having success. But what he was kind of doing was being very telegraphed with a jab, and then trying to punch him to the body. Or he would try to just, explode and not jab at all and just catch him with his power punch. And the punch wasn't there. So I scored the fight for Martin. He was just check hooking him left and right, and kind of doing it easily. And whenever the fight would get into a lull where nobody was doing too much of attacking, you would see Teofimo Lopez's head get snapped back with a quick jab. So if you were looking at a fight and you can't, I'm looking at this fight, like I really couldn't score this round. It was kind of a little back and forth, muddled action. Nothing's happening that's extravagant. And then all of a sudden, Teofimo Lopez tries to attack, but his head gets snapped back, looking like Clubber Lang when Rocky was throwing his little jabs out there. I'm like, shit, man. The more telling punches, the more obvious punches to score is clearly Martin when he's just catching Teofimo Lopez jumping in without a jab. And then whenever Teofimo Lopez tried to really, you know what I'm saying, trap his guy and throw some damage, he just pivot off. He would just pivot off, reset, and then back to his jab, and then check off. And it was like, that was kind of the rhythm of the whole fight. I take nothing away from Teofimo Lopez. I don't think he had what it, I don't think he was thinking in the mind frame of doing whatever he had to do. I feel like he was like, in order for me to win this fight, I just got to keep pressing, or fight harder, not smarter. Like, all I have to do is hurt this guy, or all I have to do is land this one punch. And he had to kind of do the opposite. Land a lot of punches, but don't try to go in for the knockout, and then start to get him thinking differently. Because it was like he had his number. Martin just had his number. I think Martin was a late replacement. Teofimo Lopez said he wasn't bothered with southpaws, but I think he was bothered with the movement. He was bothered with the fact that Martin was able to pivot off on his back foot. You know what I'm saying? And he wasn't just standing there, stationary target, and he wasn't pressing. He wasn't fighting forward like Richard Comey just used his own power coming forward. Then Teofimo Lopez caught him coming in, which your power versus my power. I hit you clean. But when somebody's, you know what I'm saying, leaning back and then pivoting off, and you can't crack that code, then it starts to have you kind of swinging for the fences, diving into the ropes, getting check hook, looking like Ricky Hatton versus Mayweather, or Sean Porter versus Terrence Bud Crawford. And I think Teofimo Lopez, you know, he got the victory, but I think he lost the fight. Salute, salute, salute. Bow. I'm gone. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below. And if you made it this far in the video, subscribe to the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, thumbs up. Wow, I'm gone.